Hello and welcome to this video. I am Christopher Walker with Closely Observed English, and you are probably a C2 Proficiency student looking for advice on how to prepare for the speaking paper of the exam. In this video, I'm going to take you through the four parts, call them four parts of the speaking paper, and also I'll tell you what to expect when you go into the speaking exam room. As you can see from this beautifully crafted picture, I'm an expert illustrator, ready to take your commissions anytime you like. Right, so what do you need to know? Well, first of all, you need to know that the speaking paper at C2 Proficiency lasts for about 16 minutes. That's if you have a partner. You'll get longer if there are two partners, if there are like an odd number of candidates for the exam. But if it's a normal exam, you will see this sort of setup. You'll come into the room, there'll be a lovely varnished mahogany table, you'll sit down. The interlocutor, the person across from you, will greet you, say hello. The assessor will nod nonchalantly like this and then focus themselves on their work. The interlocutor will then ask you your names and they'll write them down because they have a short memory and they'll forget otherwise. And they'll write the start time for this particular test session on the piece of paper, and then they'll ask you for your mark sheets. That's the piece of paper that you're holding, thinking, why am I holding this? Well, you give it to the interlocutor, forget about it. They give it to the assessor. Then the interlocutor will ask you a few simple questions like, where do you come from? Are you working or studying at the moment? What have you found most difficult about learning English? Some of these sort of questions. They're not proper questions as such, because you kind of know that they're coming. So just give simple answers. This is just to ease you into the exam, much like you stick a toe into a hot bathtub before you jump in. Then it's time to go in, and the first part that you'll be looking at is what we call the icebreaker. And this is where you have some basic-ish questions. The interlocutor will have a script that they're reading, they'll have a list of questions, and they'll choose a couple. This part of the test only lasts about 2 minutes, so the interlocutor will ask you a question, what kind of work would suit you best? Then maybe your partner a question, maybe another question to the partner, one more for you, and then they'll move on. If you've reached C2 proficiency level, you shouldn't find this to be too difficult. It's not the most taxing thing in the world, but at the same time, it is a good opportunity to start demonstrating to the examiners that you know what you're talking about. Okay, so once that's done, things get complicated pretty quickly in terms of the task and the way you manage them, because this is completely different to what you might have experienced if you've done C1 Advanced, for example. So next comes the picture round. Okay, that's the same as C1 Advanced, except it's not. First of all, you're going to be talking with your partner. So here's an example. The topic is tourism. You have these four pictures, and the interlocutor says, I want you to talk together with your partner for about 1 minute, looking at just pictures 2 and 4. Talk together about the different aspects of tourism the photos show. Okay, that's not a lot of time for you to share a task, is it? So you have to get talking pretty quickly. So it's quite a demanding task. Don't waste time by describing too much of the picture. You can say what the picture shows because it's the representation of the picture that's important to you. So for example, picture 2, you can see a crowd of people outside some sort of tourist attraction. So that is an aspect of tourism. Wherever you go, there will be crowds, which means waiting, which means queuing, that sort of thing. Your partner can chip in with their own ideas as well. So that will last about 1 minute, and then you go into the full collaborative task where you have now 3 minutes or thereabouts to talk about all 4 of the pictures. Talk about the effects that tourism has on places popular with tourists, and then decide which photo to use for an article on the theme of tourism. So actually there are 2 tasks here wrapped up in one. This is like the old style pre-2015 FC and CAE, where you had the discussion and decision to make. For me, this is right for an upgrade or fixing, certainly, because you have to manage the time yourself. Are you kidding? You got everything else to do and you've got to watch the time. Okay, so you've got 3 minutes. You talk with your partner. You could start with the pictures you've already discussed. You could start with number 1. It doesn't matter. Go around the pictures, build on what your partner's talking about, and then when you feel ready, you can start thinking of which picture would be best to fit that article. Give reasons why. You don't need to make a firm decision together. You just need to be on the road to discussing it and choosing together. It's the journey, not the destination, that's important. Okay, right. So you think, glad that's done. That was hard work. And then it's the individual long turn. Now at B2 first and C1 advanced, you only have to talk for a minute on your own. Not here. Now you're going to be talking for 2 minutes on your own. You don't even have any pictures to look at. So now the interlocutor puts before you a prompt card. It has the question at the top and 3 bullet points. If you like, if you're feeling really confident, you could skip the bullet points, ignore them. Don't recommend it myself. In the stress of the exam, you might find that they're a useful crutch to help you through the process. So here it says, who can help young people prepare for their future lives? You do get some time to prepare, don't worry. About 10 seconds. So it's not a lot of time. And what you're basically being asked to do here is to craft a simple essay without writing anything, and that you deliver in about 2 minutes. So what do essays need? Well, they need an introduction before you go into the content. So take that question and reframe it. Who can help young people prepare for their future lives? So that's the question. So your introduction would be, I suppose it's inevitable that at some stage, young people will need to prepare for what comes next after school, for their future. When they do this, they need help. They can turn to different people for help. Okay, that's the introduction. Then you go in. Parents can be a source of help for young people because, and then you can explain why, but you could also say why they're not. You could say, parents come to the situation with too many preconceived notions, something like that. So do like a for and against for each point. That could be useful. It could guide you through the process of talking. Then you can talk about the peers, the educators. You can do it in whichever order you like, but it's useful to use the bullet points as the framework for what you say. After those 2 minutes, and actually they will go quite quickly, the interlocutor will say thank you, and then they will ask an extra question to bring your partner in. The partner will get to do more of the talking here. They will have a couple of questions on the script and they will choose one to ask. These won't be presented on a piece of paper. You have to listen carefully to get them. So after that minute, then your partner gets to suffer for 2 minutes. They'll have a different question, but it will be related to the same general topic for reasons that will become very clear in a moment. So you talk about, or they talk about this, you sit there listening, kind of going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Then there's the follow-up question. If you like, you can try to relate what you say to what you've heard your partner talking about. That would be good. Try it, why not? And then at the end of that time, we go into a kind of discussion question, take the topic from the previous parts, and then you have these discussions. This lasts for about 4 minutes. Okay, so you're going to go through, the interlocutor will ask a question like, do you think that schools do enough to prepare young people for their future lives? Try to resist the urge to say, do I think so? No. Give a nice rounded answer and encourage your partner to contribute. You can say, oh, actually you said something along these lines in your talk, didn't you? So what do you think? Something like that, if you like. But this is your last chance to really show the assessor that you know some good English. If it helps you, personalize your answers, think about what you personally think and express yourself as clearly as possible. So you'll have some questions, depends how much you talk, how many questions you'll get. If you talk a lot, you might get 2 or 3. There are 4 or 5 available in the script. It's important to pay attention to what the interlocutor is saying, because some of the questions can be quite long-worded or long-winded, depending on what you want to say. And then 16 minutes after you've taken your seat, the interlocutor will lean back in the chair, say, "Thank you, that is the end of the test." And you can get out of there, go back home, do whatever you want. And that's it. So that's what to expect when you take the speaking paper for the C2 Proficiency. If you have any questions or any points you'd like to share, please leave a comment below. I'm going to be talking more about this topic later in a future video, where I'll be looking at assessment and what Cambridge will be looking for from you when they sit down and actually grade your performance. And if you want to know when that video is released, make sure that you click the little notification bell icon when you subscribe to the channel. And until next time, that's all from me. Thank you very much, and good studies.